Hello everyone, welcome to this channel, and today I am going to discuss about pivot joint. So pivot joint is a type of synovial joint characterized by the presence of synovial cavity and synovial membrane between and around the junction of two bones. These are freely movable or diatrosis as it is synovial joint. Structure: here one bone swivel around and that ring formed by another bone. Swivel around, ring formed by another bone. Rounded portion of one bone is enclosed within the ring, which is formed partially by the articulation with other bone and partially by one ligament. The rotation of bone occurs within this ring, particular ring. Now example are atlantoaxial joint between the first vertebra, that is atlas C1, cervical vertebra C1, and second vertebra, that is axis C2, cervical vertebra C2. Now the upward projecting dens of axis vertebra, this is the dens of axis vertebra, articulates with the inner aspect of the atlas, inner aspect of the atlas vertebra. The axis is held in place by the transverse ligament. This is the transverse ligament which causes the axis to held in place. Axis to held in place. One more example is radio-ulnar joint. It is basically the proximal radio-ulnar joint, that is the radio-ulnar joint which is close to the elbow, and it occurs between radius and ulna. Head of radius articulates, this is the head of radius that articulates with radial notch. This is radial notch of ulna. The head of radius now encircled largely by a ligament, that is the ligament which is known as the transverse ligament, which is known as the, this ligament is known as the, this is transverse ligament, this ligament is known as the angular ligament. This is transverse ligament and this is angular ligament. By angular ligament that held the head of the radius, that is this portion, in place. Now what are the movements offered by this joint? It is a uniaxial joint, that is movement occurs in a single axis. The movement over is rotation. So when something rotates around another thing, and we can say that, suppose this is a point and something another is rotating around this axis like this. So this movement is known as rotation. In case of atlantoaxial joint, rotation occurs, which helps to turn our head from side to side. In radio-ulnar joint, rotation of radius allows for the forearm movements. Now there are, it may be of two kinds, that is upward movement, upward rotating movement of the radius, which is known as the supination or supination, and downward rotating movement of the forearm, which is known as pronation. Upward movement of the forearm known as supination, and downward movement is known as pronation. So in case of the joints, one bone rotates with respect to the other. In case of radio-ulnar joint, the rotation of radius occurs, and in case of atlantoaxial joint, the rotation of basically atlas occurs around the axis. So this is a brief discussion regarding the pivot joint or pivot joint, which is a type of synovial joint, and here I am ending my today's video. See you in my next video, and if you guys like my videos, please subscribe the channel.